right, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to see so many lovely faces virtually. So thank you for anyone who has their cameras off. I understand if your cameras, or has your camera on, I understand if your camera's off. So welcome to our RCMP talks on the topic of mental health. This is obviously a very super important topic, and especially right now when people are feeling disconnected during the pandemic. So it's always been an important topic. So thank you for being here. And I would like to start by a land acknowledgement, and this is going to be different for everyone, but I'm just going to give mine, and I think Allison would be the same one. So I would like to recognize that I'm joining you virtually today from Ottawa and the Hull area, and this is the traditional unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. And I would like you to just take a moment to acknowledge the ancestral territory from which you join us from today. Wonderful. So my name is Tessa. I've worked for the RCMP for 2 years. I started as a researcher with the RCMP, and now I work for National Youth Services along with Allison. And I absolutely adore getting to work with youth like you from across Canada. So I'm really excited to be here today. And as I mentioned before, for any questions or comments, you can unmute yourself to ask questions or make comments. You can also go to slide.do. This is also in the chat, but slide.do, so sli.do, and type in the code RCMP in lowercase MH. And then you can ask questions on there either anonymously or put your name. And I'll be monitoring that throughout the presentations. I'll probably ask relevant questions as they come up or save them until the end, but that's a really great platform for you to kind of share what you want to share. And without further ado, I will pass it on to Allison.
Awesome, thank you, Tessa. So welcome everyone. My name is Allison McIntyre, and just want to thank you all for coming to our RCMP talks on mental health. I'm going to do a quick shout out to all the schools joining us today. So welcome Inukshuk High School, Fisher Branch Collegiate Institute, Blackfalds Iron Ridge Junior Campus, Sam Pudlott, Constable Neil Bruce Middle School, and Lacombe Comp High School. We do have a real big group joining us today, which is awesome. So welcome again. For people with mental health problems, not being able to talk about it can be one of the worst parts of the illness. So by getting people talking about mental health, we can break down the stereotypes, improve relationships, aid recovery, and take this stigma out of something that affects us all. We are here today to empower you with all the knowledge and encourage dialogue in order to be able to get the help that you or someone you know may need, which is what Youth Speak is all about. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Michael, Alex, and Samara to speak on mental health. So without further ado, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael, and I am a speaker and a facilitator for the amazing organization that I am representing today, which is Youth Speak Performance Charity. We are a nonprofit located in the GTA, so around the Toronto area in Ontario, and we talk about mental health and wellness, such as what we're going to be doing today, as well as bullying, substance use, anti-Black racism, and LGBTQ issues. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And Sarah, could you please give me access to share my screen if you haven't already? And everyone just... Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so just bear with me for 1 minute and I will get the PowerPoint up and running. I hope everyone's having a great day today. And just so you know, I am at home and my dog is right next to me, and sometimes she really loves attention, so you might see her pop up.
While Michael's sharing his screen and getting everyone ready, I just wanted to remind that if you have questions and you're joining from YouTube, you're welcome to put them on YouTube there, and we'll bring them back over to this meeting. But as well, there's the Slido link with RCMPMH as the code, as well as here in the chat. Just type your questions and we'll be happy to ask the speaker.
Awesome. Okay. And as we're getting started here, I would actually love to know where everyone's from. So if you want to just type in the chat the province, territory, I would love to know that. Like I said, I am currently I'm in Toronto, Ontario. So it's nice to meet everyone. Okay, so let's get started here. So we're going to talk about mental health and wellness today. But first, before we do that, let's do a little bit of a self-check. Let's see how we're feeling right now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little interactive activity, and we can do this a couple ways. You can access it through the link at the top of the screen or through text message. So what you're going to do is text UNAWRITE 434 to 37607. And then it'll give you a confirmation saying that you've joined the poll. And then you're going to go ahead and answer this question, which is, how are you feeling right now? And choose an answer, A, B, C, D, or E. You can also type it in the chat. So Myra, do you want to just let me know what's coming through in the chat, please?
Yeah, so we have a lot of B, 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 E, a lot of B's and A.
I'm
So
also
amazing.
getting B's and A, mostly B's, but an A in the Slido.
Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. So yeah, a lot of people are doing great. Some people are doing okay, not so good, stressed.
Someone just messaged saying, please wait for the students to just set up. So it might take a couple minutes. Make sure you're texting the number 37607 and the word UNAWRITE 434. And then you get activated, and then you either text A, B, C, D, or E.
Yeah, perfect. So take your time. This is just to acknowledge how we're doing right now, just a little activity for us to be present, and just as a starting point as we go through our presentation. So if you're doing great, I'm happy to hear that. If you're doing not so good, I want you to know that that's something that I can relate to as well. Sometimes sitting at home all day, maybe the weather's not so great, can be a bit draining. So hopefully we're going to learn lots of tools today that'll help with that. Okay.
And there are a few from the chat, a lot of goods, a lot of okays, some not so greats, and that's okay too.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of an activity. It's a deep breathing activity. So we're all going to do this together. And what we're going to do is take a deep breath in for 4 seconds and then take a deep breath out. So deep breathing is really powerful because it's something really easy that we can do anytime. And it immediately sends messages to the brain to help us calm down and relax. So we're going to try it out. Now, it's also really helpful to just have a hand on your belly to feel it rise with an inhale and then retract with the exhale. So we're going to do it all together. We're going to do it a few times, okay? And I will count for everyone. So let's get ready. And we're going to take a deep breath in, feel our belly raise. Nice. Okay, hold it for a second and breathe out. Very good. Let's try it a couple more times. Deep breath in. And out. Okay, and last time here. In. And out. Nice. Good job, everyone. So I don't know about all of you, but I already feel a little bit different. And maybe you can type in the chat or however you prefer connecting with us and let us know how you're feeling after that. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of an opinion poll. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and we would invite you to respond with the answer that you can best relate to. And I'm going to get Alex and Samira to help me with this as well. So, have you ever used music as a tool to cope?
So in the Slido here, did you want me to give you some of these answers?
Yeah, please.
Perfect. So how people were feeling, first of all, after the breathing was great, amazing. One person said elegant, totally fair.
Love it.
And then for answers about music, it's a lot of yeses. We have one sometimes, but mostly yeses, and I definitely have.
Okay.
Yeah, it's similar in the chat as well. Lots of yeses, a few no's, but a lot of yeses.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, all right. So for sure, I think a lot of us can relate to this as well. And music is great, right? So on days when I'm not feeling so great, I would listen to my favorite song or a genre of music that always helps to lift my mood and make me feel better. And if you wrote no or sometimes, maybe this is something that you might want to try if you haven't already, right? Because that's what we hope to teach you here as well. Maybe some new things to add to your coping toolbox, as we like to call it. Okay. Have you ever experienced negativity online? Over social media, maybe something that was said to you, something that you've seen online?
We're saying yes, yes. Some people say no.
Okay.
Some people say yes. I have almost all the time.
A few no's. There's someone who said a lot, a few yeses.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, everyone. So I think this is something that we all should be aware of, that, you know, a lot of times we see negativity online and it doesn't make us feel the best. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. Okay. Have you ever felt judged or misunderstood? With your friends, with your family?
We have some yeses. We have some yeses in caps. Lots of yeses. And also with my family mostly was another one.
Lots of yeses in the chat as well, some no's.
Nice, nice. Yeah, for sure. I think this is something that we can all relate to, and it never really feels that great, right? So, thank you everyone for being so honest. Okay, have you ever compared yourself to someone you know or someone you don't know, maybe over Instagram, Facebook, other forms of social media?
We're getting yeses, no, sometimes. Someone said I don't use social media.
There's some yeses, no's, kind ofs.
Okay, thank you everyone. Yeah, for sure. I know that I have done this before over Instagram, and I think it's just important to recognize how our relationship with social media starts to affect our mental health. Okay, has social distancing changed your life? Yes or no, or maybe?
A few yeses, a few nos in
Slido.
the chats. Pretty split.
There's a split too in Slido. Some people are saying 100%. Some people are saying no.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Thanks, everyone. And I think that's what we normally hear because in some areas of your life, maybe it hasn't changed that much, and in other areas maybe it has. So I know for me, especially, I have a lot of hobbies, a lot of things that make me feel better that I do outside my home, and now I'm not really able to do those things in the same way, right? For obvious reasons and restrictions. So it really had forced me to come up with other creative ways of coping. So thank you everyone for being so honest. Okay, so we are going to go into our stories now. But before we do that, just a reminder that these are the real stories of our speakers. And so some parts might be a little sad. If you feel like it's overwhelming, feel free to take a step away, reach out to a caring adult, could be in the room, in your house, someone that will make you feel good, make you feel grounded, as well as you could always reach out to Kids Help Phone via text or phone. All right, so something else that I just want to note is there's no recording, picture taking videos of the speakers when they're on the screen because they love to share their stories with you all, but not necessarily the whole world. So we ask that you please respect their courage and their privacy. All right, with that being said, let's get into our first story for today, Samira. So, Samira, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thanks, Michael. Um, hi everyone, I'm Samira. I'll be speaking about just some of the journey I've been through with depression and anxiety as I was in high school. And just before I begin, I want to ask you all a question. I know it's probably not the best question right now to ask as well, but do you like traveling? And if so, what are some places that you would like to go? You can just put that in the chat. Awesome. I see Japan. Someone said yes. I love traveling. Australia. Uh, awesome. So that's something that I really love doing. And through my life, I have been really lucky and grateful because I've been able to travel to a lot of places because my family and we moved around a lot because of my dad's work. So that really gave me a lot of new experiences. I got to see different cultures. I got to eat amazing food. Um, all right, I see a couple more answers here. Hawaii, Caribbean, I love those. But that also meant that every time I moved, it meant I started all over again. I had to adjust to a new culture and all those amazing things that you would see when you go to a place. I had to adapt. And it was especially difficult for me when I moved to Canada. You see, when I moved, even though I knew the language, even though I thought that I was really excited because it's a new place, it's a new country, so many exciting things to experience. But as I got here, I remember my first day of just the 7th grade, just walking in and I just felt different. I just looked around me and it's just something I couldn't pinpoint. And I noticed that, I had hair that was all the way past my waist. I wore clothes that my mom picked out for me. And I had my mom had a bit of a quirky taste with fluorescent colors and big flower patterns. But that's what I was used to. And when I walked in, I noticed that people were wearing different clothes and different things. And they had all these things they were saying that I couldn't understand. And so I remember at that moment, all I really wanted to do was just fit in. I really just wanted to blend in with everyone and just not be such a sore thumb in the middle of it all. And as it continued, I just remember I wanted to change little bits and pieces of myself. I would see how people were acting around me, and I would start doing that. And this went on until high school, where I was so obsessed with this idea of fitting in that I started wearing clothes that people were wearing, those brand names, those Champion hoodies. Well, it was a bit different back then. We had that American Eagle hoodies then that was really popular. But, I started to change those little bits and pieces without even realizing. I started straightening my hair. I started putting makeup on to school. And I didn't realize that even while doing those things, there was this thing I felt inside and I couldn't explain it. It was just this loneliness and pain. And I didn't notice too much at first, but it kept getting bigger and bigger. And this carried on into university, where I started to do other things that were really unhealthy because the people around me were doing them. Those included drinking, because I saw people around me drinking. I went to parties and I thought they made me happy because, I'm just like everyone else and I felt wanted. But through it all, I just didn't realize that that pain and that loneliness, it got bigger and bigger. And it felt like that feeling when you're in a room of people, but you still feel lonely. And I kept trying to escape. So traveling, I tried to go to different places. I tried to escape all these problems. And that led me to a lot of really amazing places where I just felt broken. So even though I got to see amazing places, each place, that pain never went away. And even though I was drinking, I realized that I had been dependent on it. It wasn't, even while drinking, it wasn't making me feel better. That loneliness was still there. And I remember I was in Vietnam and I was sharing this room with 5 other people. And that night it was lonely. And it all hit me at once. During that time, there were 2 things that I faced. I faced depression and anxiety. And depression was something that made me feel like I was covered in a thick of fog. I woke up one morning, I walked outside, and I couldn't see past what's in front of me because of this thick layer of fog. And anxiety made me feel like I was stuck. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and it was like a loop. And it's like, that game Mario Kart, that one level, Rainbow Road, which you can never really get past. It just felt like I was stuck in a game and my life was going in repeat. And then when I was in Vietnam, I remember, and that loneliness just triggered something in me. And I started to cry. All those feelings that I had pushed away all these years, they just kept coming back stronger and stronger. And I cried. And I remember I called my brother and I told him that I loved him. And he just told me, go find somebody there, reach out to someone. And I went and I messaged a girl I had met just 3 days earlier. And she told me, she just came running to my door and she hugged me. And that whole night, she patted my back and she told me that one thing that I still tell myself to this day, something that really gets me going, even in this pandemic we're in, that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to feel the pain you're feeling, because it's okay to feel and cry at times and just feel hopeless. But that support, reaching out and adding that support in life when you know that you're feeling that way, that's what can help you get through it. Just for that moment, she said, temporarily, just think of all the things that are adding stress into your life and just take it away piece by piece. And then all the support, all the people that you think can support you, just add them into your life. Slowly reach out to them, let them know how you're doing. And I remember from that trip, I came home and I finally told my family about it. I talked to them. And once I started talking, I started also doing something I was told that would help a lot, was writing and journaling my thoughts. And in that moment, when I started writing, I couldn't stop. I kept writing. And from writing, I started finding new hobbies that I once used to do when I was younger, but I had stopped because of the craziness of high school and all the chaos of middle school as well. And I started painting, I started reading, and all these little hobbies I realized were a part of me. It was a part of my identity. And I had just locked it away with my feelings, but I was starting to accept it. And being by myself, I just realized how important, how all these years I had kind of ignored who I really was. And at that moment, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who Samira was. But I knew that I had to do something about it. And I didn't want to be this person who didn't recognize myself. So through those hobbies, slowly and slowly, by talking and opening up, I started to empower myself and accept all different parts of me. And that fitting in wasn't just fitting into other people's unique differences, it was fitting into my own unique differences. So this has really helped me even today in this pandemic. I know that there are days that we're not all going to feel okay. We can feel lonely at times. And I just want you to know that it is, you can make that difference in someone else's life by reaching out, and you can make that difference in your own life. Even if you may feel like you may not want to reach out to someone, just by saying a hello can do such a big difference. So now I want to leave you with just one message, which is that self-acceptance, self-love is something that we hear so much about, but it's something that you can start with today by just empowering yourself. And a way that I do it now is when other people tell me that I'm strong and I'm amazing, I appreciate the kindness in their words, but it's when I tell myself that I'm strong, that's what brings me strength today. So thank you all for listening.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Samira. As Samira gets the PowerPoint going again, I just want to highlight a few points that really stood out to me. And feel free to share something that stood out to you if you want. It's the importance of self-love. I think that's really key and something that I've been trying to focus on more in my own life. And the power of just going and talking to someone, right? Asking someone for a little bit of support, and knowing that you're not alone in this. And we heard the difference that made for Samira in her story. So thank you, Samira. That was really great. Okay, so we are going to hear from another one of our speakers shortly. But before we do that, we are going to talk a little bit about mental health, mental illness, and mental health challenges. So mental health, as you see on our screen there, includes our emotional, psychological, social well-being. It affects our relationships, how we act, how we think about things, our feelings, how we handle stress, our choices. And when we seem to be experiencing challenges in this area, this is seen often as a struggle that affects our mental well-being. And this can occur from time to time, just like our physical health. A mental health challenge could be You have a lot of tests coming up. You've been really stressed. You haven't been sleeping that well. You haven't been eating that well. You seem to be very angry, right? That can be a challenge. A mental illness refers to something that is diagnosable by a doctor, and it could range in terms of disorders that affect your mood, your thinking, and behavior. So those are the differences between mental illness, mental health challenge. Okay, next we are going to start talking about some coping tools. So coping tools are super important because they are tools that you can use when you're experiencing mental health challenges, and they can help you through any mental illness that you're going through as well. What we suggest, and this is something that I do as well, is I make a list of these, because sometimes when I'm not feeling so great, when I'm really tired, when I feel like my negative thoughts seem to be getting the best of me, I pull out this list, and that way I can easily remember what makes me feel better. Now, the thing is, this list is going to be different for all of us. Maybe the way I like listening to music to help me feel better may not work for you that well, and that's okay. But what we have to find is our toolbox, our own toolbox of positive, healthy coping strategies that make us feel better. And these are all things that bring our energy up when we find it hard, when we're finding it a bit tough to get through the day, when we find that our energy is low and our mood feels down. So here are some examples. It could be a form of distraction. So puzzles, books, watching a TV show. It could be listening and really tuning into your emotions. It could be something creative, such as writing in a journal, drawing, art. It could be mindfulness and meditation activities. It could be grounding activities. Grounding is really important for me. It helps me feel present. And what that means is it's something that brings your awareness to where you are right now and reminds you that you're okay. So, for example, something that I like to do when I'm feeling really anxious, really stressed, and I feel like my brain is going nonstop and I can't seem to calm it down, I look around the room and I just name out the colors I see. That's really easy. It's something that you can do anytime, anywhere, and immediately it brings your awareness to where you are. Instead of maybe the story that's playing in your head, that's not so helpful. Okay, so next we are going to hear from one of our other speakers that we have on with us today, and his name is Alex, and he has an incredible story. I can't wait for you to hear from him. So, Alex, the floor is yours. Take it away.
And sorry,
Perfect.
just before we go into Alex's, there's just a few comments in Slido. Can I do those real quick? Okay.
Yeah, please, absolutely.
Thank you. So Samira, you got a lot of comments saying thank you for sharing your story. That was very brave, things like that. Also, someone asked, I haven't slept well in over 3 weeks. What are good ways to get better sleep? So does anyone have any suggestions for how to calm yourself maybe before going to sleep or any other things like that?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So I can start off. That's something that I can relate to as well. I'm not sure if you are a thinker, but me, I'm an overthinker. So sometimes when I'm in bed trying to sleep, I am not sleeping because, there's nothing to do except think. So something that I like to do, a few things. First of all, I take a couple of minutes and do some deep breathing, just like we did at the beginning of the presentation. And that really helps you calm your body and calm your mind. Something else I like to do, which is super helpful, and this is a strategy that I learned from Mel Robbins, who is an avid influencer in terms of mental health and wellness, and it's called a brain dump. And what I'll do if I find that, you know, there's a lot of things in my head, um, I'm overthinking, I can't seem to fall asleep, I'll get out of bed, get out a piece of paper, and literally write down with no filter everything that's popping into my head. And that's super helpful because as soon as you get it out of your head and on paper, you feel calmer because you don't feel like you constantly have to have it on replay in your head, and it's on paper. It's like, okay, now everything I'm thinking about, it's here. I'll put it aside. Let me go to sleep now. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Okay. So try that if you haven't before. And it's good for any time, not just before bed. I have a bunch of scrap piece of paper laying around everywhere with just things I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
So
I was actually going to add to that. I have difficulty sleeping as well, and something that I would recommend is you even like setting yourself up to sleep earlier than you would even humanly think possible, like 8 o'clock, dimming the lights down, making sure that environment is just very sleep inducive. I also use an essential oil diffuser to help me sleep. So just like some type of scent that you really like, just very calming things. And I know that it's hard to stay away from screens, but eat just 2 hours before sleeping, staying away from screens, picking up a book, that could really help.
yeah, that's a good point. Really using your environment to help you get into that sleep routine. So just as an example, if I want to go to bed at 9 o'clock, let's say, am I going to watch an action movie at 8 o'clock? Probably not. That's probably not going to help me calm down and help me fall asleep when I want. But that was a good question. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that was all the questions in Slido. So we can go to Alex.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Tessa. And yeah, if anything comes up, just let me know because of course I can't see Slido. So Alex, if you want to add on to that question, if not, you can go ahead and go into your story. I'm excited.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's so funny because I have the opposite problem. I can't stay up past like 8 o'clock at night usually. So and that's just generally my brain's time to not think. And I've trained myself over the years to make it my brain's time to not think. So I think if you can get yourself into that routine, that's something I've done and it's kind of paid off in the long run because now my routine is completely set. And I've tried to stay up until midnight, even on New Year's. I made it till 10:30 and I couldn't make it till midnight. So routine is my biggest suggestion. And with that, hello, my name is Alex. It's really neat to see people from all over this amazing country here. That's really new to me and really cool. So I'm super excited to be here and be able to talk to everyone. Like Michael, like my colleagues, I'm from Ontario. I'm from a very small area of Ontario. So it's a little different than Toronto, but I like it a lot. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, a little bit about how my experiences with mental illness. So it started as early as I can remember. From as elementary school, I'd say, I started to kind of develop interests that other people weren't super passionate about. I know a lot of you probably are into hockey. I'm really into hockey. I'm sure a lot of you are not really into hockey, and that's okay too. Everyone has different interests, but that was just something that I couldn't understand when I was younger. So I thought everyone loved hockey. Everyone wanted to talk about the highlights. Everyone wanted to watch the games with me 24/7. Road hockey was outside my house 24 hours of the day. But I realized quickly that it wasn't all people thought about. Like it was all I thought about. So it led to me feeling kind of isolated in school. People, as you can imagine, if you're not a hockey person, if someone kept talking about hockey to you over and over again, you might get a little bit annoyed. I think I annoyed quite a few people. Um, but that was something I learned, and it led to me being very isolated and having issues making friends. So I remember I felt very lonely in school, but like a lot of people said in the chat, their life hasn't been affected by social distancing. Neither has mine really, because I'm a really big video game person as well. So I love staying indoors. I love playing online games with my friends. I like being alone. So that was something that was natural to me, but other people didn't understand. So it led to me being a bit of a target, and people weren't very nice about it. I was bullied pretty badly throughout my school time, just because I didn't pick up on people not wanting to talk about what I wanted to talk about. I also had a lot of issues with my emotions. I couldn't really put a name to emotions. You know how if you're happy, you're able to say, "Oh, I'm super happy, I'm super excited," or if you're sad, you're able to say, "Oh, I'm not feeling very good." I didn't know what those feelings were. So all I knew was I was feeling all sorts of, I call them big feelings. I was feeling all these big feelings, but I couldn't put a name to it. So I didn't know what to say. It led to me being, I'm sure there are a few kids like this in this room as well. I started acting out in class. I started getting attention. I started making bad jokes. And I really, really did get myself into some trouble with my teachers. And I realized that that was just me not being able to express and not having a safe place to express. It wasn't the right way to go about it at all. And if I look back on it now, I wish I had reached out for help and reached out to talk earlier, because I could have gotten a lot better learning done. My grades would have been a lot better, but it's all foresight and it all happens for a reason. So I continued on kind of alone up until I'd say middle school. Middle school was the time which was hardest for me. I remember I felt sick to my stomach every single day for like 2 years. And I remember I told my mom, I'm like, "Mom, I have the stomach flu. I have the stomach flu. I feel sick every single day." Of course, I didn't have the stomach flu every single day. I don't think that's possible for 2 years. Um, but what I found out was this was actually the anxiety that was in my body, and it was showing itself in a physical way. So when I was feeling sick, I was actually feeling very, very anxious. Um, and I remember putting a name to that, and that's what helped a lot. Was I'm like, okay, what I'm feeling is anxiety. I have a name to this. I have a way to reach out to someone. I immediately, as soon as I had a name, as soon as I figured out what was going on, I immediately reached out to my mom and I said, "Mom, I don't know exactly how to explain how I'm feeling, but I'm not feeling right and I'm not feeling great." I know if my mom hadn't been there, I had tons of friends at that point who I could have reached out to at any time. My principal and I were really, really close, and I had really great teachers too. And I remember I had a lot of discussions with them after school, even about my mental health, and they were really helpful. So with this, I started to open up more. I started to talk about when I felt anxious, and I started to talk about when I started to feel sick for no reason. And this really, really helped me not only open up, but helped me put a name to what I was feeling. And it also helped me connect with people who were feeling the same things as I was. So I didn't feel so alone. Eventually, I started to gain more friends. I started to realize that not everything was about hockey. And I started to realize that I was able to not just control my anxiety, but maintain it. And what I do to do that is I use my coping tools. So my coping tool I still love hockey. I still play it competitively. It's been my life since I was a kid. It's something that soothes me. And I'm sure if you're a hockey freak too, you know the sound of skates on ice, the sound of a stick on ice, there's nothing like it. So that really helps me. And it not only helps me feel better mentally, but it also helps my body be active. And that also helps my mind feel a lot better. But I also rate music. And the really, really cool thing about music is by the time you're done a song, you either have something deeply personal that you can release to the world, and maybe someone will relate and you can touch someone, or you have something that's like a journal. You can record it, keep it on your computer for the rest of your life, and never share it with anyone. And that's super cool. It's a great way to kind of get emotions out and also be artistic because, as we know, art is really good for the mind and for the soul. So if I can leave you with one thing, it's even if you don't have a name for what you're feeling, please reach out. I remember I was told throughout my life it would get better, and I laughed at people. I said, "Oh, it gets better, haha." Everyone says that, but it does. It really, really does. No matter how many times I was told, I had to kind of feel it get better. But it does get better, and there is hope. And there are people who are feeling exactly what you're feeling. So don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Alex. That was great. Um, and I just want to highlight a couple things from your story. It's the fact that you highlighted that, you know, this is really normal. It's okay to not be okay all the time. And again, the power of reaching out, right? Even something as simple as that can really make a huge difference. Okay, so we're going to continue on with the presentation. We're almost done, so thank you everyone for listening and being so respectful. We're
Michael,
gonna, yes,
sorry, I have a few questions if we
no,
want to answer them now.
for sure.
Me popping in. Okay, so one of the questions from YouTube was, I have a friend that I think is struggling. What can I say, or how do I let them know that I am here to talk without making it awkward? So how can you help a friend, basically?
Great question, and thank you to whoever asked that. So the important thing whenever you're in that type of situation, well, a couple things. First of all, it's great that you want to help, but you also have to know that there's a possibility that that person might not want help, and that's okay, right? Even though you might want to help them more than anything in the world, you can't force them to do anything that they don't want to do. Now, with that being said, the most important thing in that situation is to create a safe space. So what that means is, let's say um, Tessa wants to, let's say I'm friends with Tessa. If I'm really supportive and I'm really kind to her, then she'll probably want to open up to me about something that she's going through. But if I believe that, you know, mental illness isn't real, that, you know, that whatever you're struggling with is no big deal, she probably won't feel comfortable opening up to me. So just really making sure that you're supportive and that you're letting them know that if they do ever need anything, you're there for them, no matter what. And I think an important question that you can ask that is really helpful, just because mental illness and mental health challenges are different for everyone. And let's say for me, you didn't hear my story today, but when I feel really sad, something that works for me may not be the same thing that works for Tessa when she's feeling really sad. Sorry, Tessa, I keep using you as an example.
That's okay.
So if I want to help Tessa and I want to show her that I'm there for her, you know, something that I'm gonna ask her is, hey Tessa, what do you need from me? What do you want me to do that would help you? And that's super important because everyone might have a different answer. So even though for me, it might be a hug. Maybe Tessa hates hugs. So I'm not just gonna go up and give her a hug because maybe she doesn't want that. Maybe she just wants someone to talk to, right? So that's super important. So creating a safe space, letting them know that you're there for them, and asking them what you can do to help.
Yeah, I really I wanted to add to the safe space part of it. Something that really helps is listening. So you don't always need to kind of give advice or, help them see, the other side of things. Sometimes your friend might just want you to listen to them, and that's okay as well. That's like the best thing that you can also do in that moment. And also realizing when they might be unsafe and connecting to them to the proper resources and help, like Kids Help Phone, obviously 911 if it's an emergency. So always just kind of realizing and knowing that you have also done your best in the situation, not being too hard on yourself if they're not responding the same way that you would like them to.
Yeah, the best thing that someone ever said to me was, I don't understand what you're going through, but I'm here for you. And I found that so powerful because you don't have to fully understand what your friend is going through to want to be there for them. So just even that simple phrase, I may not understand what you're going through, but I want to be here if you let me. Or if you need a pal to cry, a shoulder to cry on, I guess. Just being kind and moving at their speed as well, like Michael said, because sometimes people just aren't ready to talk about it. And that's okay. It doesn't mean they'll never be ready, but letting them go at their own time as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex and Samira. That was all really great. Okay, so we just have this one last activity quickly, and then we'll answer any of your other questions you have, okay? So this is about affirmations. So what I want you to do is choose a word that might stand out to you here and keep that in mind, because whenever you're not feeling so great about yourself, whenever your mood is low, this is something that you can say. You don't have to say it out loud. You can say it in your head, but just something to remind yourself how great you are. So I might say, I am so amazing. And another way to do this is every time you pass by a mirror in your house, give yourself a high five. Say, you got this. You're doing great. You're awesome. Honestly, I do it all the time, and it makes a difference. So now we are going to do a little activity. You are so. So choose a word. It could be any word. It has to be a positive word that you would want to say to someone else that might brighten their day a little bit. You can type it in, you can chat it, you can send it through the link, and we'll see it pop up on the screen here.
And while that's happening, I just wanted to highlight some of the stories that are being told in Slido. So thank you everyone for sharing.
Yeah,
People are
sure.
talking about bullying experiences in school. People are talking about, basically about their experiences here. I'm trying to see if there's anything specific, but we appreciate you sharing these things. So thank you,
Awesome.
everyone.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So I just want to highlight that you all are great. We're going to end the presentation with this activity just as a reminder on how amazing we all are, in case you ever need someone to let you know, okay? You are so powerful. You got this. So with that being said, here are some resources. They will get sent to you. And now we're going to open it up for questions because we really want to answer your questions. So Tessa, what do we have?
Yeah, so I'm trying to see. So one of them was a question about substance use. And I know that substance use and mental health problems can be intertwined.
Yeah.
So someone was asking about how can I get off substances, or if I'm having substance use problems, how can I deal with that? I think I saw there was the center, there was one of the resources there that would have been helpful, but do you have any more information on that? And additionally, I also replied saying that you can also go to the Center for Youth Crime Prevention with the RCMP, and we can help you find resources as well.
Yes, for sure. So in that case, it's important to seek out for resources. Maybe Samara, can we get that resource slide back on the screen? And for sure, seeking out someone who may have a little bit more expertise in that area, like your family doctor, counselor, or a caring adult that you have in your life to help you do that safely.
And if
Yes.
you're not in Ontario as well, you can search similar stuff like Centers for Addictions, and it should pop up with your local addiction center as well.
Yeah, so over here we have the resources CAMH and Connects Ontario, but we will send your schools a list of different resources that you can access. And also, I just want to highlight for a lot of substance use and addiction, the root is emotional pain. So people resort to these things because there's something inside and it's around their feelings, and it could be, a traumatic experience, or it could be anything, but really focusing on kind of supporting that emotional pain people are feeling, and not just stigmatizing them and just, branding them as something negative is so important.
Yeah. Tessa?
Awesome. Yeah, I think there was a school that had a question.
Sure.
Sam Pudla, is there a question? You can go ahead and unmute yourself, whoever has questions in the actual Zoom.
Yep, that's right.
Or if there's anyone else that has a question as well, feel free to unmute.
Hello,
Your name?
this is Shiloh.
Hi.
When my parents are sad, what should I do?
You say when your parents are sad?
Yes.
That's a really good question. Our families can affect us as well, and we would want them to feel good all the time. When your parents are sad, something that I do for my parents is help around the house. So give them the space if they want space. Give them a hug, even if they may say, even if they may be alone at times. You can always go and just be around them. Or you can also do something nice for them. Like I like cleaning the house to help them feel better at times. Do you, Michael or Alex, have any other suggestions?
Yeah, so what I like to do is my mom likes to be alone when she's upset. So what I'll do is I'll make her a nice dinner while she's alone for a bit. And I tell her, like, if she is feeling really sad, I'll tell her maybe you should talk to your friends, because she has really good friends too who want to support her. So I think I'd tell her to reach out to her supports as well, like friends, maybe my dad, someone like that.
Absolutely. Thank you. So we have a few more questions. I know that we're getting to the end of our time, so if anyone does have to go, we understand, but I think these are really important questions that we can get to. So one of them is, how can you help a friend that may be engaging in self-harm? Yeah, I'll leave that to you.
Okay, that's a really good question, and thank you for whoever asked that. So the important thing that we want to do is to keep them safe for now, right? So you want to connect them with someone that can help them do that. So this is a caring adult that you trust, a professional, or if you feel like they might be in danger of hurting themselves in that moment, then you should call 911. So Myra, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I think you really did hit all the main points. Just making sure that they're safe, having a plan, and us ourselves aren't always going to have those answers and the plan ready. So really going to find a caring adult or a teacher, because that at the end of the day is really going to help them. Even if they may feel negatively towards you in that moment.
That's right.
And yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to say very clearly that your job in those situations is not to be the superhero, but it's to connect them to someone who can really help. because even for me, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't be able to help them with everything that they needed to feel better. So I would have to connect them with someone else. Now I can help them do that. So I might say, hey, Sumaira, do you want me to come with you to talk to this person? I can do that if you want, but that's not a secret that you would want to keep between you and that person, because we're talking about someone else's safety.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you. And another question here, which would be similar, is how to help a friend when they are here. Oh, sorry. It was how to help a friend, but actually how to help a sister, because they're grieving over the loss of a family member. So I know that can take a big toll on mental health. Would you suggest the same kind of, I guess, suggestions to help in that
Yeah.
situation?
So Sumaira, I'm gonna let you take this. I just wanted to say really quickly that, again, the question that I think is the best is, what can I do? How can I help you? Because again, it might be different for everyone. But Sumaira, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really amazing way to put it. Is just how can I help? Also, when people are going through loss and grief, people grieve differently. And some ways just helping is showing that support, talking to them, and you may not have to talk, letting them talk and you listening and just being around them and letting them know that it's okay to cry during this whole process and take however much time that they may need. And something that I like to do is kind of giving them the space when they also need it. So they may not want you to kind of smother them all the time, but finding that balance between support and space.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't know if there's any more questions if you want to unmute, if there's any questions in the classrooms. And so I'll leave it open to that for a second here. And then after that, I'll pass it off to Allison to talk about Bell Let's Talk and to say goodbye. So any questions, it's your last chance.
I just wanted to add, the police are always available 24/7 if anyone ever needs. We're not just the guys that come and arrest people. We're here to help and do what we can for people, because the unfortunate part is some people do take their own lives, and we don't want to see that happen. So we're always here 24/7 if anyone needs to talk or needs resources.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, if any questions do come up, if you wanted to get in touch with us, feel free to look us up, youthspeak.ca, or you can coordinate and send an email to Allison or Tessa. Sarah has our contact info, so I promise you we will answer and get back to you, okay? But thank you everyone so much for listening to us today, for being so respectful and attentive and participating. We really appreciate it, and we had fun.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up our RCMP talk session on mental health. We would genuinely love to thank you all for sharing your personal stories. It's a very captivating presentation, and it's a topic that definitely needs to be discussed. So thank you very much. And thank you all for participating into our RCMP talks. We do want to have a friendly reminder that tomorrow is Bell Let's Talk Day. So if you want to text, call, if you tweet, use any of your social media, hashtag Bell Let's Talk. 5 cents of that goes to mental health initiatives in Canada. So get on your phones. I know maybe your parents don't want you to, but get on your phones and start texting all day tomorrow for a great cause. We do hope to see you all very soon. Until next time, be safe. Remember, you are not alone, and there is help out there to assist you. Be kind to one another, and have a great rest of your guys' day. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Say thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.
They're all waving.
No, it's the best part.
And we are off.